Well, hello there, fellow geeks and geekettes, and welcome to a video that I'm thinking about naming Frustrating Back Workout and Surprising Back Issue Review. This is a part of a long-running video exchange between the channel Rorschach's Reviews and myself about our stay in the self-quarantine, self-isolation situation where we exchange workout videos and we make comic book reviews. So today was my back and biceps day, and I'm still missing my pulling machine, so I have to really exercise with what I had, and this is a snippet from it. Wait. It's too light. I'm losing count today. It's not good. Not good at all. Whew. Now that was heavy. I still miss my police. So then, I came across another comic book issue that was in my, not specifically collection, but there was a pile of back issues that I had, that I received for free in packages with other books that I ordered from my own will, right? So these were freebies that I received along with some good comic books. And one of them was Tony Stark Iron Man issue 1 by Dan Slott. I believe that this was published in 2018. Well, yeah. And I didn't read it until I did today, because I thought, I wouldn't like it, or I didn't want to bother myself with reading contemporary comic books, Marvel comic books, because in majority of cases they are, horrible, terrible. Ugh. In my opinion, I don't really like modern Marvel for various reasons. Except for the House of X and Powers of 10, I quite enjoyed that that event. And I suppose I just wanted to make a review on a comic book that, sucks. So I have something to bitch about and moan about. I don't know, maybe I just woke up in a mood to, complain about something. So I picked a contemporary Iron Man comic book because I thought, it's Iron Man from 2018, it'll suck. And it didn't really. I quite enjoyed this issue. Until I didn't. They messed it up by the end. by doing the same thing they always do in today's contemporary Marvel comics, and that is going completely and unnecessarily leftist. But until that happened, well, let me first tell you what it is about. I don't know. I know that before this, Tony Stark wasn't Iron Man. There was Ironheart, the other character. I think her name was or is Riri Williams, and she was completely deconstructing everything about Iron Man, about the character, and why people liked him. Well, I know he never really was popular as a comic book character until there were the movies with Robert Downey Jr. But he has always been, a certain way, Tony Stark, until Riri Williams came and all the leftist Marvel nonsense came, and they just changed everything for really no clever reason. So I never really read Iron Man. I've only read Extremist by was it by Warren Ellis, and that was good. But I thought this would be crap, and I grabbed it, and it was good. It's so apparently Tony Stark is back as being Iron Man, and the issue starts with a flashback to 25 years ago when Tony Stark was at school and he wins a soccer match with robots, right? Because there are people who build a robot that plays soccer, and it's just a little bit wonky. It's not really good. And then Tony Stark comes and he builds this masterpiece of a technology, right? Because he's Tony Stark. He's the way Tony Stark should be, a genius, but at the same time playboy. He here being portrayed like as a brat little kid. But then we go. Before that he defeats like this team of other robot aficionados. This guy will be important, right? So he defeats them, he wins, la di da di da, and now today, right? And this guy, the old man here, is the same guy who was defeated by a boy Tony Stark at the robot soccer, right? And 25 years later, Tony Stark pays him a visit in his house where this guy is still building robots. And his robots are specific in that they are all individuals, but they are able to cooperate and work together on various tasks, right? So, and they are able to adapt a sort of hierarchy and an ability to cooperate, under stress and in stressful and difficult circumstances, right? So this is in what his robots are specific and good at. And Tony Stark pays him a visit. He says that he bought all his company from his shareholders, and that he now basically works for Tony Stark. So he takes him to his Stark Tower and shows him around. By the way, we get to know that this Tony Stark that pays him a visit was he was a hologram, and the true real Tony Stark was waiting for him at his workspace, at his office, where he shows him the new prototypes of things that he was working on. By the way, I like this. This is, I think, the Iron Man armor from the movies, and he wants the old man to help him make his prototypes cooperate and work together, which doesn't really work at first. It all gets destroyed and quite chaotic. There's this very annoying robot lady that Tony Stark built. She's called Jocasta Pym, Miss Jocasta Pym. and she is like the boss of, you know, the robot things at the Stark Unlimited, I believe his company is called now. And she's acting, you know, like all female characters in Marvel Comics are acting these days. She says to the old guy, "I am not a suit of armor, Andrew Bang, his name is. I am a robotic life form, designation Miss Jagasta Pym, and I am your superior." And she says then, "I do not mean that as a life form. I am referring to my status as a Stark Unlimited employee. I am the chief robotic ethicist, and you will report directly to me." Yeah, right, so we've got a robot lady in charge, and she just keeps bitching about everything, and, well, everything that's really male and alive, not robotic, so that's, you know, that like Marvel norm. But what I liked about it was that Tony Stark is the Tony Stark that we know from comics and the films. He is acting the way Tony Stark has always been acting. You know, he's cheeky. He is a, you know, millionaire playboy philanthropist. It's the Tony Stark we all know and love. And then it all gets interrupted by Fin Fang Foom, the giant dragon from Marvel Universe. And the artwork is, by the way, quite cool here. Look, giant dragons. Just show me giant dragons, and I can't resist giant dragons. I love dragons. So yeah. So, you know, all this conversation cooperation is interrupted by Fin Fang Foom attacking Manhattan, right? So Tony Stark leaves to fight Fin Fang Foom in his newest armor, which is a giant robot Iron Man. Tell me that isn't cool. I'm sorry, it is so freaking cool. Giant Iron Man suit fighting the giant Fin Fang Foom dragon, right? The Andrew Bang really speaks, you know, my mind, because he says in this panel, he says, "How are all of you not freaking out? Flying cars and talking cats are one thing, but this is giant robots. This is awesome." He's right. It is quite awesome. So Fin Fang Foom continues fighting Iron Man, right? And he kicks his ass. So he has to eject and continue fighting in his regular Iron Man suit. So they're fighting. And the Andrew Bang, in the meantime, is talking with the extremely annoying robot lady boss. And this is my favorite part of the entire issue. Just look at the panel first, right? All the panels, they're talking. But what is important is what they actually say. So he says, look, Stark's focused all of his attention on one precise location on the creature's hide. He's creating a weak spot, like the kind Smaug had. And the robot lady says, "Smog?" And he says, "Smaug, the dragon from The Hobbit." and she says, "I am unfamiliar with this reference. Downloading J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit across all media." And he says, "What now?" "Complete. Yes, this is like Smaug. That book was very enjoyable, but stretching it into 3 movies was a bit much." This was awesome! I'm saying that this writing is freaking fantastic. It's from 2018, and it's got everything so far. We got, well, further than, you know, into the half of the comic book issue. And so far the writing was fantastic. It had Iron Man, Tony Stark as Iron Man, who was acting as Iron Man should act like. There was a giant dragon. There was Tony Stark in a giant robot armor fighting Fin Fang Foom. There was a Hobbit reference. There was... They uttered the truth that the Hobbit movies were completely horrendous and horrible. So and it continues with Iron Man unleashing a nano Iron Man into the bloodstream of Fin Fang Foom, since the giant robot didn't work. Fin Fang Foom kicked his ass, so he unleashed a tiny small Iron Man. La da da da, and it didn't really want to work out because there were supposed to be more of these nano Iron Man. But they weren't able to cooperate together. See here where I'm getting? So that's why he needed the Andrew Bang to help not only his new prototype armors and AIs cooperate, but his army of nano Iron Man robots cooperate to defeat Fin Fang Foom. But he finds out that there was some sort of, what is it called here? A control disk in the brain of Fin Fang Foom, so somebody was controlling him. So the nano Iron Men then destroy the control disk, and Fin Fang Foom comes to his senses and he says, What transpires here? I shall have none of this. If I am to crush you, lowly creatures, it shall be at the time of my choosing, mine. Fin Fang Foom is no one's puppet, pawn, or plaything. And he wanders off into the sea. Iron Man wins, with the help of nano Iron Man and an old guy with a beard. So far, I loved it. Fantastic, right? So then, in the end, there's like a press conference. With everybody, and the annoying AI lady is wearing like a suit. Alright, okay, fine. But what happens in the end, I suppose it's not Dan Slott's fault. I think it's the editorial. I think it's Marvel telling everybody and every writer that they have to go at least a bit leftist in each and every single issue. Because he said, it was at the very end. He was talking about Iron Man and Tony Stark. Right, this last but one page. The last page is the reveal of, the villain who was behind the control disk, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but the last but one page looks like this. It's Tony, right, saying, "This is Iron Man. It's not his suit. Iron Man's an idea." Well, and there I thought Tony Stark was Iron Man. Okay, fine. Ever-changing and limited only by our imagination. I say our, because Iron Man is an idea we all share at Stark Unlimited. What? It's all of us and everything we do here. We are Team Stark. And we are Iron Man. No. I love, for instance, I love Grant Morrison, but I have never liked the idea of Batman Incorporated. I don't think Batman should be more than one person. I don't think Batman should be any other person than Bruce Wayne. I don't think anybody should, anybody else but Tony Stark should be Iron Man. It's just the way it is. Can you imagine anybody else? Can you imagine like King Arthur being anybody else than King Arthur? Or any other legendary or historical character suddenly changing? This is Orwellian. This is changing history. So I am not against creating new, interesting characters, colorful, diverse characters. I just don't want anybody to change the characters, that have been established already, like for decades, and people have loved them the way they have been for decades. So only the last page messes it up for me a little bit, maybe a little bit more, going, again and again, the same thing. Thor is not, a person, it's an idea. So everybody can be Thor. Jane Foster can be Thor. No. Thor is Thor. Tony Stark is Iron Man, Batman is, Bruce Wayne is Batman, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. I can understand Miles Morales being Spider-Man because he's from a different, reality, from a parallel universe there. But well, then I think he joined the 616. Well, no, never mind. As far as, or as long as the different versions of the one character are from different realities and parallel universes, it's okay. But as far as the canon goes and the main reality, I don't think we should change the already established characters. Nevertheless, forgetting about the last page, this was a pleasant surprise for me. Tony Stark, Iron Man, issue 1, with a subtitle Self-Made Man, written by Dan Slott, was actually good. I enjoyed it, and I was pleasantly surprised, and I think I'm going to get the collected edition of at least the first volume of the paperback, and then may I do a review on it. Although my prediction is that the rest of the arc will be shite. I think that the first issue was supposed to make the old fans feel good about it and buy more issues, but we'll see. So yeah, that was my frustrating back exercise and surprising back issue review and reading. So I feel good today, really quite good. Yeah, so that would be all from me, friends. I do recommend Iron Man issue 1 from Dan Slott, and see you next time. Bye.